Chad, GBT, what do you do if you got intel where the bluefin tuna are biting and by the time you get there, they're MIA or not chewing?
Well, when that happens, it's all about staying flexible and adapting.
Yeah, shut up. I'm Captain Ralph. I know exactly what to do. I've been there and did that, and today I'm going to talk about it. Hustle and fish. Let's go.
I always find the fish. Always.
Welcome back to Hustle and Fish. I'm Captain Ralph, and today we're going to rapid fire right through this and talk about what we do or what we did in a real life scenario to get bit when the fish were gone, MIA, and just were not chewing, okay? Real quick, we do have a contest today, so stick around towards the end, and if you can guess the weight of a tuna, you will win some swag courtesy of Ahcor Offshore Clothing Company. Let's go. There's a lot of information on how to catch fish, but not a lot of information on when the fish ain't there, what should you do, okay? In this situation, we were fishing the backside of San Clemente, and I was working zones, working waypoints. I was covering ground. Keep in mind, my boat never stops unless there's a reason to stop. I don't deploy a bait unless there's a reason to deploy a bait, okay, guys? I don't go by boats and just try to fish by them. I tried all that. It doesn't work. So what puts the odds in our favor is covering ground. I know how much gas I have in the tank, 150 gallons, and I know how far we could push this boat, okay, to have enough gas to come home. So on this trip, finally, I knew I was coming down to the come down on my gas tank, okay? And I knew I had to slow things down and just get a bait in the water. I didn't have no indications of meter marks, no birds, no nothing. It was a slow day on the backside of San Clemente. All I had was information from the prior day of where confirmed fish were caught. So with desperation, intuition, I go there and I deploy the kite, deploy the frozen flyer, and we start fishing. And we're in the game. We're making sure that frozen flying fish is looking sexy. And what's going through my mind is I'm just going to cover ground. You know, I'm slow trolling. I'm going anywhere from in gear, out of gear, going up to about 5 to 6 knots, skipping a frozen flyer. And I'm just working it. And I just never forget this moment. Silence. Time stops. The biggest fish you could possibly imagine came out of the water, crashed on the bait, and we were hooked up on a big fish. I think that bad boy came in close to 300 pounds. And all I can remember is like, man, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad that I took a chance and put the bait in a zone where prior fish were caught the day before. That's all I had. And it paid off. So going on to the future, if I'm in that scenario, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I recommend that anyone does. Scenario number 2 was similar, okay? It was a trip similar to that trip where you got intel, you got GPS numbers, you got a lot of expectation because the day before fish are biting, you get out there and there is nothing happening, okay? Not a bird in sight. Or if you do see birds, even the birds are like, what the hell happened and where'd the fish go? So anyways, in that scenario, I was on the backside of San Clemente and I had maybe about 3 more hours of fishing time. And I decided I was going to fish the Mad Max and cover ground. And when I go home, I typically wrap the west end of San Clemente and head towards Long Beach, coming in on the east end of Catalina. But I just figured, you know what? I'm going to troll this Mad Max for 3 hours if I have to. And I'm going to head from San Clemente Island on the backside. I'm going to head to the Snail, to the 499. And then I'm going to come home from the west end of Catalina. So this is what we call the Hail Mary, the blind strike, okay? And sure enough, guys, after about maybe 45 minutes, not a meter mark, no indication, boom, we get hooked up on a cow, okay, guys? I got B-roll of that cow. Matter of fact, I'm going to show it right now. Matter of fact, I have another contest today for anyone who could guess the weight of that cow right here. Put your answers in the comments. I'll find them, and then I'll find you. And with that being said, we do have a winner of last week's show. Let me shout him out really quick. Grizzly Trout Fishing 8472. He weighed in at 280. The fish taped out at 282. Congratulations, Grizzly Trout Fishing 8472. I'm going to send you a DM after this, and you got a courtesy package coming courtesy of Ahcor Offshore Clothing Co. Now, scenario number 3, guys. This one did land the super cow. Real quick, I want to thank you guys for all the positive feedback that I've been getting in the comments. I sincerely appreciate you guys. And if you're new here, I would appreciate you guys, if you're feeling the content, subscribe, give it a like, because my goal for this year or for a whole year is to drop an episode every week and just giving you guys the context from starting a business, maybe becoming a captain, catching more tuna, everything that I'm involved in. I'm going to be sharing it on Hustle and Fish. Let's go. And it was just your typical trip behind San Clemente Island. But what was weird about this one, it was right when I wrapped the west end of the island, I metered some fish super close to the island. I've never seen fish that close. I'm talking about like 2 to 3 miles off the island. I got some marks, but it wasn't nothing. It wasn't the meat. It was just a few little marks. And we got a frozen flyer out there. We tried to work it, but because it was so early in the day, you know, my goal is always, man, let's try to find the meat. Because when you find the meat, you have the best odds in your favor of getting limits, coming back home with 4 big ones, and having a great day. So we go on the hunt, looking for the meat, and finally, hours after the trip, it was about 4 o'clock, and I knew you want to pay attention to when that slack tide is coming. We had a high tide coming about 5 o'clock, and for a slack tide, we like to have a bait in the water 1 hour before and 1 after hour slack tide, okay? I knew there was a high tide coming at 5 o'clock, and the only information that I had where fish maybe was that first spot in the beginning of the day. So I rush over there, get a bait in the water at 5 o'clock, roughly give or take, and we just start fishing. Not seeing much, but I knew earlier there was fish there. And I didn't see the crash on that one, but I remember some commotion on the deck. And like, hey, we seen something. And then I was like, was it a crash? No. And then I could kind of see where the bait was. And it was ripples in the water. And then I was like, hey, tighten up that line. Something's not looking right. So they start reeling in the line. And I'm like, faster. And then we start reeling in fast as we can. The line comes off the clip, and then we start reeling fast as we possibly can, and then we got tight, and that line started ripping. That fish was going places. And to make a long story short, 309-pounder hit the deck, and this is not about catching fish. This is not about the battle. This is about how we came home with fish when there wasn't any fish showing face, when they were not chewing. So what we did was just position a bait on some waypoints, on a waypoint that we got earlier that day. Guys, in Galatians 6:9, it states, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at a proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. I take scriptures from the Bible and I apply them to my life. I apply them to fishing, and I'm seeing the fruit, guys. And I do want to share that with you.